Skiing in Europe has developed a strange hobby, charging your wallet rent. Lift passes flirt with triple digits per day, sandwiches cost more than your childhood bike, and somehow everyone pretends this is normal. So this list does the opposite. These are real ski resorts where snow still falls from the sky instead of your bank account. We're counting down from shockingly cheap to how is this even legal, with actual terrain, real elevations, and prices that won't require a repayment plan. Number 10 starts tiny, beautiful, and slightly unhinged in the best way. Babindu, Bělešnica, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Babindu feels like a ski resort that accidentally time-traveled from a simpler, happier era, and then decided to stay cheap out of spite. Perched high above Sarajevo on Mount Bělešnica, this place looks wild and cinematic, like the backdrop of a war movie that suddenly turned into a winter postcard. Jagged peaks, wide-open alpine bowls, and skies so clear they make your phone camera feel inadequate. The ski area itself is small, about 12.5 kilometers of runs, but it punches above its weight by being refreshingly no-nonsense. You show up, you ski, you smile, you don't refinance your house. Day tickets have hovered around 20 to 30 euros, which feels illegal compared to Western Europe. Elevation reaches just over 2,060 meters, meaning when the snow hits, it sticks. And when it doesn't, locals still show up anyway, because complaining is cheaper than therapy. This mountain also hosted alpine events during the 1984 Winter Olympics, which is hilarious when you realize you can ski Olympic terrain today for less than the cost of lunch in Switzerland. Accommodation nearby regularly dips below 50 euros per night. Food is hearty and affordable, and a press ski usually involves strong coffee, stronger rakica, and conversations you don't fully understand, but deeply enjoy. Vogel Bohinj, Slovenia. Vogel is what happens when a ski resort decides it wants to be spiritually fulfilling instead of financially aggressive. Sitting above Lake Bohinj in Triglav National Park, this place doesn't scream at you with luxury. It quietly humbles you with scenery. You're skiing while staring down at a frozen lake that looks photoshopped, surrounded by the Julian Alps like they're flexing just for you. The ski area is compact, offering around 15 to 22 kilometers of pistes, but what it lacks in size, it compensates for with flow and views that slow you down because you keep stopping to stare. The top lifts climb to about 1,800 meters, and the resort is known for natural snow rather than snow making overkill. 6-day lift passes have landed around 210 to 215 euros, which feels polite, almost apologetic. This is a resort where beginners feel safe, intermediates feel relaxed, and everyone feels strangely calm, as if skiing here counts as a wellness retreat. Off the slope, Lake Bohinj is 40 minutes away, and Lake Bled about an hour, which means you can ski in the morning and take I found inner peace photos by afternoon. Lodging nearby often stays under 80 euros per night, and food prices don't involve emotional damage. Palarinsal, Andorra. Palarinsal is the friend who says, "Trust me," and then actually delivers. Tucked into Andorra's Pyrenees, this resort proves you don't need alpine arrogance to have proper mountain fun. The terrain spreads across Pal and Arinsal sectors, totaling roughly 60-plus kilometers of runs when combined, with smooth cruisers, playful reds, and enough variety to keep groups happy without causing arguments at breakfast. Lift tickets are where things start getting interesting. Day passes often start around 45 euros, and multi-day deals, especially when booked early, can knock off up to 15%. 6-day passes typically land just above 300 euros, which feels refreshingly reasonable for a resort that still feels big. Elevation tops out around 2,560 meters, so snow reliability is solid without turning the mountain into a wind-swept ice planet. A press ski here is cheerful, not feral. Drinks are cheaper than France, food portions are generous, and nobody judges you for ordering dessert twice. Barcelona and Toulouse are the main gateways, meaning budget flights are common, and transfers don't require a second mortgage. Palarinsal doesn't try to impress you, it just quietly becomes the trip you keep recommending to friends. Jasna, Slovakia. Jasna is Slovakia's biggest ski resort and also the country's loudest mic drop. Stretched across Mount Chopak in the Low Tatras, this place offers nearly 50 kilometers of pistes, modern lifts, and terrain that actually keeps you engaged instead of politely bored. Elevation pushes past 2,000 meters, with north and south-facing slopes giving you options depending on weather, mood, or how optimistic you're feeling that day. The lift system is efficient to the point of being suspicious. High-speed gondolas, minimal queues, and pricing that stays grounded in reality. Lift passes fluctuate dynamically, but 6-day passes often undercut Western resorts by a wide margin, especially when booked online. Accommodation nearby regularly falls between 70 to 120 euros per night, and food prices won't make you double-check the receipt like it insulted your family. Jasna also sneaks in extras: night skiing, free ride zones, and a lively but manageable après scene that feels social rather than unhinged. It's the kind of place where you ski hard all day, eat well at night, and wonder why more people haven't figured this out yet. If this list is already saving your wallet from emotional distress, do the algorithm a favor. Hit like, subscribe, or both. It tells YouTube you enjoy snow, mountains, and not being financially ruined. Also, comment which resort shocked you the most so far. Some of these prices still feel fake to me. Sousdul. Sousdul is what happens when a ski town decides to be wildly fun, aggressively sociable, and quietly brilliant at saving you money. Sitting on the Italian side of the Milky Way ski circuit, it doesn't advertise itself as budget-friendly, but it absolutely is, in the way a friend says, "Just order whatever," and somehow picks up the bill. The village spills across a sunny plateau, rooftops dusted with snow, church bells echoing faintly while skiers clomp through narrow streets like happy penguins. What makes Souse sneaky good is scale. On paper, the local terrain already feels respectable, but then you remember you're plugged directly into the Via Lattea, a monster ski area with 400+ kilometers of connected runs spanning Italy and France. One lift pass, suddenly your playground includes Sestriere, San Sicario, Clevier, and Montgenèvre. 6-day passes usually sit around 260 to 295 euros, which sounds absurdly low when you realize you're skiing distances that would cost twice that elsewhere. The skiing itself leans friendly and flowing. Long reds, forgiving blues, and enough variety to rack up serious vertical without your legs filing a formal complaint. The village altitude sits around 1,500 meters, with lifts pushing well above 2,700 meters, so snow reliability is solid through most of the season. And because this is Italy, lunch doesn't involve sad sandwiches eaten in silence. It involves pasta, espresso, and the dangerous realization that skiing hungry is a personal choice. Accommodation here stays surprisingly reasonable. Apartments and small hotels often fall between 70 to 120 euros per night, especially if you book a bit outside peak weeks. Evenings are lively but not chaotic, bars buzzing, laughter spilling into the streets, people dancing in ski boots because they gave up trying to change. Souse doesn't feel cheap, it feels clever, and that's the best kind of value. 5. Les Deux Alpes. France has a reputation for ski resorts that smile politely while emptying your wallet. Les Deux Alpes didn't get that memo. Instead, it decided to offer serious terrain, dramatic glaciers, and actual affordability, if you know how to play the game. This is a resort that stretches long and tall, perched dramatically above the valley, glowing pink at sunset like it's showing off. The headline feature is altitude. The village sits at around 1,650 meters, and the lifts climb to a staggering 3,600 meters, which means snow security that borders on smug. Even in shaky winters, Les Deux Alpes stays skiable when lower resorts start sweating. The ski area covers roughly 225 kilometers of pistes, blending wide cruisers, playful parks, and high alpine drama that makes you feel far more skilled than you probably are. Now here's the part people miss. The pricing isn't outrageous if you're flexible. 6-day lift passes usually hover around 240 to 260 euros, which for glacier skiing in France feels like a typo. Accommodation is where strategy matters. Skip the ski-in luxury hotels and go for self-catered apartments slightly off the main strip, and suddenly, you're looking at 500 to 700 euros per week instead of eye-watering numbers that require a second job. The town itself is long, lively, and unapologetically chaotic in a fun way. Bakeries open early, bars stay loud late, and the après-ski scene ranges from relaxed wine sipping to full-volume dance floors where nobody remembers what time it is. Les Deux Alpes is proof that France can be fun without being financially abusive, provided you ski smart, book smart, and don't insist on champagne lunches every day. Livigno? Livigno feels like a loophole someone forgot to close. Tucked high in the Italian Alps near the Swiss border, this resort is famous for two things: long, rolling ski runs and a bizarrely wonderful tax-free status that turns grocery shopping into a minor thrill. The town stretches down a wide, snowy valley, ringed by peaks, looking less like a resort and more like a winter city that just happens to ski. The ski area itself delivers 115 kilometers of pistes, split almost evenly on both sides of the valley, which means sun exposure options and terrain variety without complicated planning. Elevation ranges from about 1,800 to 2,800 meters, keeping conditions reliable and forgiving. 6-day lift passes typically land between 320 euros and 360 euros, which isn't rock-bottom cheap. But here's the trick: everything else costs less. Because Livigno is duty-free, food, alcohol, fuel, and shopping are noticeably cheaper than surrounding regions. That 360 euro lift pass starts to feel very reasonable when dinner doesn't cost the same as a small appliance. Accommodation prices stay grounded too, with plenty of hotels and apartments offering week-long stays at prices that don't induce stress-induced math. Livigno also has Olympic-level credibility, slated to host freestyle and snowboarding events for the 2026 Winter Olympics, which explains the immaculate parks and modern lift infrastructure. Après-ski here is cheerful rather than chaotic. More, another round, than what day is it? Livigno doesn't shout about value. It quietly lets you realize halfway through the trip that you're spending less and skiing more. That's a dangerous combination. Bardonecchia. Bardonecchia is the resort equivalent of someone who doesn't brag because they don't need to. Sitting just beyond the French border in Italy, this town is reachable by direct train from Turin, which already puts it ahead of half the Alps. You step off the train, look up, and the mountains are just there. No drama, no bus transfers that feel like a pilgrimage, just snow, peaks, and a suspicious sense of ease. The ski area offers around 100 kilometers of runs spread across multiple sectors, giving it a choose-your-own-adventure feel. Tree-lined pistes for storm days, open bowls when the sun's out, and terrain that quietly accommodates beginners while keeping intermediates happily occupied. Elevation tops out near 2,800 meters, and snow coverage tends to be solid thanks to both altitude and modern snowmaking. Here's where Bardonecchia shines. Pricing. 6-day lift passes often fall between 195 euros and 240 euros, which for a proper alpine resort feels like it missed a price update. Accommodation follows suit, with hotels and apartments regularly available for 70 to 110 euros per night. Food is classic Italian, simple, filling, and not trying to impress Michelin inspectors. The town hosted snowboarding events during the 2006 Winter Olympics, which explains the well-designed terrain parks and relaxed, youthful energy. Evenings are mellow and authentic, locals chatting, families strolling, skiers nursing tired legs with good wine. Bardonecchia doesn't try to be flashy, it just quietly delivers one of the best value alpine ski experiences in Europe. then waits patiently for you to notice. Borovets. Borovets feels like someone took a classic alpine ski town, ran it through Eastern Europe, and forgot to add Western European prices. Tucked into the Rila Mountains just 90 minutes from Sofia, this resort sits among dense pine forests that look straight out of a fairy tale. Except here, the fairy tale includes chairlifts, night skiing, and beers cheaper than bottled water. Borovets delivers around 58 kilometers of ski runs, mostly blues and reds, spread across 3 main zones. It's not intimidating, but it's surprisingly fun, especially if you enjoy long, confidence-boosting pistes that let you rack up laps without thinking too hard. Elevation tops out near 2,560 meters, which helps with snow reliability, and the lift system has been steadily modernized. Fast chairs, gondolas, and fewer "is this lift broken or just old" moments. Now for the numbers that make people suspicious. A 6-day lift pass usually lands around 180 to 200 euros, depending on season. Accommodation can dip as low as 40 to 70 euros per night, even in winter. And dinner often costs less than what some resorts charge for fries. Night skiing adds extra value, letting you ski under floodlights like you're in a video game level set to budget mode. Après-ski here is lively, borderline chaotic, and unapologetically fun. Bars spill onto snowy paths, music leaks into the forest, and nobody pretends this is a quiet wellness retreat. Borovets isn't pretending to be luxury, it's pretending to be fun, and accidentally becomes one of Europe's best value ski trips in the process. Bansko? Bansko is the resort that makes people double-check Google because the math feels wrong. Nestled at the base of the Pirin Mountains, this town blends dramatic alpine scenery with medieval stone streets, Orthodox churches, and just enough chaos to keep things interesting. You wake up staring at jagged peaks, then eat a full breakfast for the price of a coffee elsewhere. That's the vibe. The ski area offers roughly 75 kilometers of pistes, serviced by a modern gondola and high-speed lifts climbing to around 2,600 meters. The terrain suits beginners and intermediates best, but the size gives it a real resort feel. Long days, varied runs, and enough space that crowds disperse once you're up high. Snowmaking is extensive, which keeps the season reliable even when winters get moody. 6-day lift passes usually sit around 330 to 350 euros, which isn't the cheapest on this list, until you factor in everything else. Apartments regularly go for 50 to 80 euros per night. Meals often land under 10 euros, and après-ski somehow manages to be both affordable and wildly energetic. You can ski all day, eat like royalty, and still have money left to question your life choices in a bar. Bansko keeps winning best value conversations because it doesn't force sacrifices. You get real mountains, real infrastructure, real nightlife, and prices that feel like they slipped through a crack in the system. It's not just cheap skiing, it's skiing that feels unfairly good for the money. So next time someone says skiing is predictable, remember these places. Snow doesn't care about borders, volcanoes, or common sense. If one of these broke your brain, tap like, hit subscribe, and stick around, because the world is way stranger than the brochure ever told you.